Good morning, Elmira Baptist Church. It is July 21st, and this is the weekly update for Elmira Baptist Church. Sometimes people say to me, I just don't know what's going on. And I can identify with that. I think it's important to get information out. So just you found this update, and there's an update every Thursday. Sometimes they get moved to Friday, but almost every Thursday of the year, there's an update. That's one way that we get out information. Another way is Cindy not only puts together our bulletin that'll be a paper copy of on Sunday, but that bulletin, Sunday's bulletin, and Wednesday night's prayer list, updated, gets sent out every Thursday in an email. And I know many of you received that email, but maybe you're not aware that there is an attachment. Well, there's not an attachment. There's a link where you click through and you find the church's bulletin and the church's prayer list. So even if you can't join us on Sunday or Wednesday nights, that's a way to keep up with the church's information. Click through to that bulletin, click through to that prayer list. If you are not receiving that weekly email from Cindy, send her an email, send her a text, and let her know that you'd like to be added to that weekly email. There's also podcasts. If you know about podcasts, great. If you don't know about podcasts, it's not worth figuring out podcasts just for this. But if you already listen to podcasts regularly, then I post a podcast on Monday and Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday afternoons. I call it Elmira and You. And the "and" in the middle is not A-N-D, it's the ampersand, which is that little squiggly mark that looks like nothing else. So Elmira, little squiggly mark, You, Y-O-U. Find that podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's also on SoundCloud, www.soundcloud.com. And 4 times a week, I'll update you. We also live stream Sunday school, 9:45 on Sunday morning, the morning worship at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, the evening worship at 5 o'clock Sunday evenings, and then, of course, Wednesday night Bible study, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. And if you go to the Facebook page, there'll be the full announcements and songs and everything there. If you are watching the live stream, of course, we start at those times and try to run that the whole time. So you'll hear the announcements week by week during those meetings as well. So weekly email with a bulletin and prayer list, this weekly update, the podcast, the live streams. And of course, if you do come in person, you can pick up a bulletin, you can pick up a prayer list, lots of ways to find out what's going on. But don't forget the website. Just recently, a pastor was remarking that he was trying to find out when his own church's meetings were. I think he was just testing his site, and it took him more than 5 minutes. Not true at elmirafamily.com. You go to elmirafamily.com and just scroll down an inch or two, and there are the times that we meet, the place that we meet. There's a lot of good information right there on that front page. You can click through to find a calendar that gets updated. So don't forget the website, elmirafamily.com. ELMIRAFAMILY.com. ElmiraFamily.com has great information, and Cindy does a good job of keeping that updated as well. So please avail yourselves of that information. And the next time you come to me and say, I just don't know what's going on around here, I'm probably going to smile and say, which one of those 5 things do you check regularly? Well, let's get to this week's update. I want to start with a quote by A.W. Tozer. He said this: "It will cost something to walk slow in the parade of the ages, while excited men of time rush about, confusing motion with progress. But it will pay in the long run, and the true Christian is not much interested in anything short of that." There should be a predictability to our habits, to our lives, of walking with God, that to others may seem like you're not accomplishing much when you spend all that time in prayer. You don't seem to be accomplishing much spending all that time in the Word of God, but trust me, it will pay off. And that's what A.W. Tozer is telling us. This is camp week, so our children, our teens are gone to camp, and I hope you'll keep praying for them. They have a little more than a day left. If you're watching this live, they have a little more than a day left at camp. Pray for their safety, of course, as they are there at camp, as they travel back on Saturday, but also pray for the Lord to work in their hearts, to turn their hearts to Him, first of all, then to turn their hearts to their parents, and to rekindle that love between parent and child, parent and teen. Be praying for that. And the goal is to have some testimonies from camp this coming Sunday night. Let's talk about this coming Sunday. This coming Sunday morning, I want to preach on preservation. God has preserved His Word. And you can read 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 23 through 25 to prepare for that sermon. Then in the evening, we want to honor our graduates and get an update from camp. So there should be some testimonies from those who went to camp. And then there is a graduate that we will honor on this Sunday evening. I want to speak about youth. So we're going to look at 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 14 and 15. I'm calling this the 4 C's of youth. That's the letter C, the 4 C's of youth, and we'll look at that on Sunday night. By the way, if you notice, we keep coming back to that passage in 2 Timothy chapter 3. So much good material there. Read that. Pray for me. Pray for me. I need your prayers as well as I prepare to preach. And then, of course, we will live stream Sunday morning, Sunday school, 9:45. Morning worship, 11 o'clock. Sunday evening, evening worship at 5 o'clock. And then, of course, Wednesday as well. The goal is to post sermons, Bible studies, and the Sunday school to sermon audio following that also. So if you miss something, you can go back to sermon audio and catch up on that. Here's our upcoming schedule. This Sunday, the 24th, again, the rescheduled graduation celebration. There is not a food and fellowship on Sunday afternoon this week, even though it's the 4th Sunday of the month, because we already did our food and fellowship on July 3rd. So keep that in mind. The next food and fellowship for Elmira Baptist Church is Sunday, August 28th. The next food and fellowship for Elmira Baptist Church is Sunday, August 28th. On Saturday, July 30th, that's our train. On Saturday, July 30th, there will be a celebration of life for Rose Schmidt, 11 o'clock in the morning at Faith Community Church. Again, that's Saturday, July 30th, 11 o'clock in the morning, celebration of life for Rose Schmidt at Faith Community Church. Sunday, July 31st is our Singspiration in the evening, and following that, our quarterly business meeting. And then Thursday, August 18th through Saturday, August 20th is a chance for fathers and sons to travel up to Pilot Lake for a camp out. So again, that's Thursday, August 18th through Saturday, August 20th. Pray for the teens, I mentioned that. Pray for our nation. Pray for our nation. We need to keep praying for our president, for our governor, for our local county board of supervisors, that God would work in their hearts and turn them to righteousness. I want to look this morning at Nehemiah Chapter 2 and verse 17. So I'm going to turn there, Nehemiah Chapter 2 and verse 17. This is what Nehemiah says to the people there at Jerusalem. Ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. Now, one of the amazing things about Nehemiah is that he was good at so many different things. Nehemiah was a visionary. He saw the same things that other people saw, but he had a vision for how the future could be different. Those folks have been living in Jerusalem with the wall just rubble around them, some of them for decades. They never saw how it could be any different. But Nehemiah was a visionary. Nehemiah was a great manager. He knew how to utilize the people around him, how to put them in their various spots so that it could accomplish the work that God gave them to do. He was also well organized. There's entire sections of the book of Nehemiah that are just given to how he organized the people. He was an amazing leader. He could motivate people. The next verse says, "Then I told them of the hand of the Lord." I'm in Nehemiah 2:18. "Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, and also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. And they said, Let us rise up and build." So they strengthened their hands for this good work. So he was a great motivator. But don't miss that Nehemiah had a personal walk with God. And so often that's where our leadership, our managerial skills, our organization, our vision can sort of collapse. Or worse, our leadership, our organizational skills, our managerial skills, and our vision only builds a monument to our own ego and pride. God is not glorified in that. But Nehemiah wasn't that way at all. He had a true walk with God. Multiple times in the book, we see that he prayed. It even records what he prayed. Multiple times in the book, he heard about sin. In one case, economic oppression. In another case, corrupting marriages. And he immediately moved to act, even though it might have been in his best interest to just keep his mouth shut and let the people in power continue to do wrong. But he wasn't able to do that. He had to confront sin. And then 3 times in the book, Nehemiah 6:9, chapter 13, verse 22, and again in chapter 13, verse 31, Nehemiah directly addresses God and asks God to strengthen him or God to remember him. Because Nehemiah had a walk with God. Every day, Nehemiah was aware, acutely aware, intensely aware that God was with him, that God was leading him, that God was watching him, that God knew what he was up to. He puts it this way in chapter 2 and verse 18. We read that. "Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me." Nehemiah was very aware that God was right there with him, directing him, protecting him, empowering him. How about you? Is your walk with God real and vital to you? Is it something that you're aware of 24/7? Or is it just something you put on when you come to church on Sundays? Oh, here I'm at church, let's worship, let's sing, let's study God's Word. And then Monday through Saturday, you're hardly aware of what God is doing in your life. Don't be like that. Be like Nehemiah, who walked with God. We can have all those other skill sets, vision, managerial skills, organizational skills, the ability to motivate people. But if we lack that walk with God, we'll only build a monument to our own ego and our own pride. And God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. Let me wrap it up with this. Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 15 says, "So the wall was finished in the 25th day of the month Elul, in 52 days. And it came to pass that when all our enemies heard thereof, and all the heathen that were about us saw these things, they were much cast down in their own eyes, for they perceived that this work was wrought of our God." For they perceived that this work was wrought of our God. Even people who are not godly, who are not God-fearing, looked at the work that Nehemiah was accomplishing, the people of Jerusalem were accomplishing, and they recognized that it was a work that was wrought of God. And that came out of Nehemiah's walk with God. Are you walking with God? I hope so. Join us this Sunday. We're going to meet to worship the Lord, the one who wants to walk with us. We'll meet at 9:45 for Sunday school, 11 o'clock for morning worship, 5 o'clock for evening worship. And if you can't join us in person, set aside that time to join us virtually, and you'll see me there.